All right, in this video, we are going to work on graphing quadratic functions. And you can see up here at the top is today's goal. And really, it's one simple thing. Our goal is to be able to graph a quadratic that is in standard form. But typically, to be able to do that, we need to first find the vertex of that quadratic. So those are the things we're going to focus on. So first off, you need to know what standard form of a quadratic function looks like. So here it is. It's f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus c. I've underlined a, b, and c there because those are the coefficients, so those will change for every example. But the x squared is always going to be there, and most of the time the x variable will also be there. A quadratic equation creates a U-shaped graph and we call that graph a parabola. And if you remember your days from Algebra 1, it can be, of course, a U-shape like this, or it can be an upside down U-shaped graph like that. But let's look at a couple examples. And before we start graphing these by finding the vertex, we're going to graph these first two just using the graphing calculator. So this first example, the first thing I want to point out are the coefficients. The a value in this problem is 1. The b value is 2. And the c value is -8. Now, these coefficients will always tell us something about the general shape of this graph. So I would strongly encourage a TI-83 or preferably a TI-84 plus for this class. Your screen will look a little bit different than mine, obviously, but the buttons are all in the same place. A Casio can work, but all of the videos for this class, I will be using the TI-84. All right. And if you're familiar with this program, the key press history is going to be in this box right here. So if you get lost of what buttons I've pushed, you can see all the buttons I've pushed right here in order. So first we're going to go to y equals, and we're going to type in this first equation, x squared plus 2x minus 8. Make sure you hit the subtraction sign in front of 8 instead of the negative symbol. And then we should just be able to graph. If your graph is not showing up, you've either got a typo or you've got an odd setting that you have on your calculator. I would encourage you to reset the memory before you do these problems. So we can see the graph right there. We're going to sketch just a basic general shape of this graph. We're not going to get too specific. But for instance, it looks like it crosses the x-axis at about +2 and also at about -4. And it's got a y-intercept, it looks like at -8. Yeah, -8 should be it. And the vertex, or the lowest point of that graph, is a little bit lower than that. So again, this is just a really rough sketch of the graph. You'll see in just a little bit we'll want to be more precise. This is just a rough sketch. Let's do the same thing for the other equation. Type that in your graphing calculator. We first notice in this case our a value, instead of being a +1, is a -1. The b value is 1. And the c value is -3. So we go back to our calculator, and this time we're going to hit the negative symbol because there's a -1 in front of x squared. Plus 1x minus 3. These calculators will do a lot for us right now. They're doing pretty basic stuff for us, but you'll want to have one later on in the class. And there you can see it crosses, it looks like, at about -3 on the y-axis there. So let's just sketch a really quick one here. It's going to be quicker than the last one. We just kind of want to ballpark it. And what we want to focus on is the general shape. So we said there's two types of parabolas. There's a U shape and an upside down U shape. So we see what forms the U and what forms the upside down U. So we see what makes it a U shape, and we see pretty quickly what makes it an upside down U shape, and it's that A value. If the A value is positive, or in other words, greater than 0, then our graph is going to be a U-shaped. And vice versa, if A is negative, or in other words, less than 0, then our graph is going to be an upside down U.